On to the story now. On playgrounds, in WhatsApp groups and in school corridors across South Africa, bullying is leaving devastating emotional scars on children. Long dismissed as a, quote, rite of passage, bullying is now an entrenched crisis, one that schools, families and government can no longer afford to ignore. Member of the South African Society of Psychiatrists, Dr. Wisani Makhomisane joins us now via video link for more. Dr. Makhomisane, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome. Now, we've long referred to bullying as a rite of passage, as I've just mentioned in the intro. But given what we now know about trauma, what does that mindset overlook about the actual psychological scars inflicted on children?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. I think when most of us grew up, everyone spoke about that, sticks can break my bones, but words could never harm me. And I think that to a greater extent has minimized the damage that bullying comes. The bullying that we used to know, which is the physical bullying, where a child will come with bruises or they'll be bleeding, that one is easier to see, and it's easier for whether teachers or parents to come in. It is the psychological one, the name calling, the cyberbullying, the, minimizing someone, excluding someone, that is harder to pick up. And by the time we pick it up, kids have long-standing mental health difficulties. Be it anxiety, be it depression, some go as far as suicide, being suicidal. Yeah. So it is time that we go back to say words hurt.
And, in communities where violence is often normalized, either at home or in society, this desensitization feeds into the perpetuation of cyberbullying, as you just mentioned, in schools. But how does exposure to bullying then during the formative years of school affect a child's emotional development and self-worth, especially when it's chronic and normalized by adults and peers?
Yes, we actually say bullying harms three people, if I'm to put it like that. It harms the victim, it harms the perpetrator, meaning the bully, but it also harms the bystander or the witnesses, the kids that will actually watch this bullying occur. Yeah. And not to minimize or to make the bully a good person, but generally bullies are victims of crime. So you find that the child, whether at home or in the neighborhood, is a victim of crime, is a victim of abuse, is a victim of bullying, and they feel they do not have any power to stand up. They then go to school where they are with their peers, and they use that school environment to be the bully. So I think we start to appreciate it from the point where the bully child is a victim. And when we but if we say to the bully, you are most probably a victim, this is a sign of mental health difficulties on the bully. So come sit with us, let us look into you, whether it's home or environment or playground back home. Let us look into that to say, how do we come in and help you? Because if we only focus on the victims, no one wants to be a victim. Then the victims do not come out and say, I'm being bullied. But we have to say to the bully, if anyone enjoys inflicting harm and pain on another person, that person is not okay. Yeah. And we need to start there to say we deal with the bully, the victim and the bystander.
And especially if left untreated, I mean, the untreated schoolyard trauma will definitely manifest in adult mental health disorders such as depression, such as anxiety or even PTSD. But let's talk about where we are today. I mean, how would you describe the current climate in South African schools? Are the schools emotionally safe spaces, or are they increasingly becoming sites of psychological violence and learned helplessness?
We are actually in it's an emergency. It's what is going on in schools is actually quite terrible. Yeah. You have kids that will shake. You will sit in front of a child who will say, I will not go to school. To a point where even when parents say, let us change you to another school, they will say, but there'll be another bully. So our schools, and this is both private and public schools, there is a lot of psychological bullying, there is a lot of cyberbullying, there is a lot of pain, and usually you find that it's one child who's a victim at home of abuse or bullying, but then they become a ringleader. And so you have the bystanders or the followers of the ringleader that now become this big group that will bully this child. Now, when child A moves schools to go to school B, because of the internet, the bullies from school A will then inform bullies in school B that, whoever is coming that side. So it's almost becoming a little mafia of small children. And this is as low as lower primary school, where children are bullied. And to come back and answer your question, we have something that we call adverse childhood events, which is trauma to a growing brain. So not only do we deal with anxiety and depression and PTSD, for example, but adverse childhood events have been shown to actually perpetuate or bring forth things like hypertension and diabetes and a whole lot of other cardiac diseases. So the little playground bully, as it would be called, actually has devastating problems in future for these kids when they grow.
There's so many facets and elements to this discussion, Doctor, but we are out of time, unfortunately, because especially when it comes to the peer silence and bystander culture and how that plays an influence, in terms of the bullying cycle and how we can psychologically shift this culture within schools. But thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate your time.